The Chinese Communist regime just announced that it's boosting its military budget by 7.2% for the coming year. That marks the 8th consecutive year of single-digit percentage point increases. And to discuss the significance of this, we sat down with John Sitilides, geopolitical strategist at Trilogy Advisors. John Sitilides, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
John, I want to get your thoughts. The CCP has just raised its military budget 7%, about $230 billion. How concerning is this to you, and why do you think they're doing it?
Highly concerning to me as an American and as someone who is monitoring these issues very closely, Steve. And it's a very important issue for Washington to really focus on, because we're trying to get a better sense as to what China's military direction is going to be in the years out, especially since President Xi, or General Secretary Xi, has been very clear about enhancing China's ability to dominate Taiwan and potentially conquer it if necessary, if Taiwan is not amenable to a peaceful unification with the People's Republic of China. I'm very concerned because this also sends a signal to America's allies in the Indo-Pacific region that China intends to continue to grow its military budget at an alarming pace. Keep in mind, Steve, that it's been about a 900% increase over the last 25 years. Modern mankind has never seen the kind of military expansion that we've seen in the People's Republic of China under the Communist Party since the early 1990s. And the question is, why? Especially because China has benefited more than almost any other country in the world under the liberal trading system that the U.S. has led and continues to protect since the late 1940s. So the question that we have is, what are China's intentions? What are its military budget expansions intending or signaling to Taiwan, to Japan, to South Korea, to the Philippines, to India, and especially to the United States, given that China intends to project power deep into the Pacific Ocean and even into the Indian Ocean in the out years? They've said so in their speeches. There really is no secret here, and the question is really more a matter of timeline than of intentions. China intends to be the military colossus of the East Asian continent, perhaps the entire Asian continent, and the question will be, how does Washington respond, and how do we work with our allies to constrain China's ambitions and to persuade China's leaders that this is not the right direction for the party and for the people of China?
John, you mentioned so many important points. As you're speaking, what do you think China's intentions are with this in general, specifically when it comes to Taiwan, and just how difficult is it to draw a red line when things are so ambiguous?
My own sense is that China is looking to send a signal to Taiwan specifically. We just focused there first, that its unification with the People's Republic of China is a fait accompli. And the question is simply when and how. And from China's perspective, ideally, not militarily. That would have not only catastrophic consequences for Taiwan's society, Taiwan's industry, and Taiwan's economy, but also for China's society, China's economy, and China's place in the world. And so I think Beijing would prefer a unification with Taiwan that does not involve a kinetic conflict. The issue is going to be, to what extent does Taiwan, A, take care of its own self-defense needs, properly train its military, acquire the kind of military hardware and equipment to deter and dissuade China from any type of military conflict. And then really this is a matter for the people of Taiwan to decide in terms of their own political process. You have one party that is more status quo oriented and one that is perhaps seeking some type of a modus vivendi with the Communist Party of China. And this will play out in the democratic elections that we'll see in Taiwan next year and beyond. But I think in many ways that China is looking to signal to Taiwan that there is going to be unification, that the United States is not going to be a long-term credible defender of Taiwan. And even beyond Taiwan, Steve, I think that, again, that China is looking to signal to countries such as Japan and South Korea and Philippines that the reality of geopolitics is that China is not going anywhere. China is going to remain the superpower of the Asian continent, and that America is in decline, as Beijing likes to believe and looks to communicate through its media and through diplomacy, and that in the end, that all of the countries need to come to understand that they need to reorient their relations and their future direction away from the U.S. as a quote-unquote unreliable, non-credible ally and defender, and look to make peace with China on China's terms.
John Sitilides, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.